Good evening and welcome to our Tuesday night's Nationwide Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Championship Split 2 Drivers Lounge. And this evening I have a few drivers joining me. I'm JP from JP Simshed and Simshed Broadcasting. This evening we've got Anton Gilbert, David Kirby, John Van Ree and Tim Crowley joining us from their Split 2 race. So we're going to get going with all the action very, very shortly, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to these guys, and they can sort of tell us a little bit about their race and how things sort of transpired for them. So without any further ado, we're going to go across, get ready for the race start, and start talking to a few people. So. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, JP. Thanks for having us, mate.
How are we all?
Thanks for joining. May as well start with yourself, Anton. If you want to introduce yourself, let people know a little bit about your team and how long you guys have been around. That'd be fantastic.
For sure, JP. Thanks very much, mate. And then thanks again for having us on board here tonight. It's really exciting to see the Split 2 cars, you know, not only getting a bit of airtime, but a little bit of commentary behind the scenes as well. Mate, I actually started racing alongside Tim Crowley, who's part of the team here tonight, giving you information and plotting along the way. Mate, fantastic guy. He really showed me the ropes. We got started running a team together. You know, listen, things didn't quite go the way we planned. We've gone our separate ways. He's got a fantastic team in PSR. I've got my own team now in Ava1 Motorsports. We've both got our, you know, representatives in Split 1 and Split 2. And, well, as you can see, mate, we're off and racing here well and truly. We've got the Ava1 motor car chasing that PSR car down, headhunting all the way. But, Tim, if you want to introduce yourself, mate.
Yeah, hey guys, Tim Crowley here. I run PSR, Pacific Sprint Racing, alongside 9 other guys, which is a bit of a co-ownership there, so it's not just me behind the scenes, so it's pretty good. But yeah, as Anton just said, started racing with him and a couple other guys in the team grew pretty quickly, so yeah, NTS Season 1, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah,
and it's full credit to JP, you know, from the very get-go. I mean, I remember a couple of the earlier races there in Season 1. It was thrown together. We had dive bombing. We had, you know, a slight lack of race control. But you look at where the series is now. It's come absolutely leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had a lap 1 pile up now for quite some time, which is quite a challenge. Really, when you look across the board, but mate, JP's doing a fantastic job. He's, you know, looking after 86 to 100 drivers on a weekly basis. Everyone has an issue, everyone has a problem, everyone has something to say. He's got a fantastic race control team behind him. Here we've got Tim Crowley actually on footage right now, punching through that top 10, position 6.
Yeah,
I started looking bloody good, mate.
I started P7 there, but the front guys just had a lot more pace than what I did, so I sort of dropped back in the field. I'm running 6th here. I think lap 3, 4, probably got up to about 3rd and sort of just dropped off. I think there was an incident a little bit further up the field, but got a couple of gifts there. But yeah, I'm one of 3 PSR cars in this split, and the other 3 or 4 guys were in Split 1, so we do have a good young talent base in PSR as well. A couple of new drivers to last season, and yeah, they're really proven that they're the goods. This track's pretty hairy for me, like a little bit loose, especially coming into here. You try and get 2 wheels up on that curb, and it can either go 2 ways, really good or really bad. You can either run off the track to your right, or you probably get an off track going into pit lane, but yeah.
It's actually really easy to dip that left tyre into that pit lane and cop that 1.5 second slowdown, which with that amount of cars behind you is an absolute death sentence. But David Kirby, mate, Tim said the pace up front there was absolutely unbelievable. I couldn't believe the pace of the top three across the first 4 laps. You were involved in that, mate. How did you see the first couple laps?
Yeah, it was good. Howdy all. Well, I started beside Tim in P8. And
who you racing for there? Sorry, David. Before we pushed on?
Racing for Frigichill Racing. So a couple of boys up here, Max Losh and Craig Hopkins.
Excellent.
But they joined their business names together, so I helped them out, and basically the team manager, I suppose, do the paint liveries, sort of organise them on when they need to be on the server racing and everything. So unfortunately, qualifying was so hot this week that just couldn't manage to get into split 1. So P8 from split 2, but as you can see here, battling 5th already, so that made a really good start, up about 3 or 4 spots. I think I did get up to 4th, but I dropped back 1.
How did you deal with the pressure, David? Because I mean, I had a pretty front row seat to a lot of your racing there, and mate, they were all around you. You had to keep a cool head.
Oh yeah, it was full on. Trust me, the heart was beating at some points. I did make a few little errors along the way, especially late in the race where I could have made a spot up, but we'll get to that later. But it was really good, and I tell you what, when it comes to pit stops, you're like, do I, don't I? Do I stay out? Do I come in? Do I pit early? Do I pit long? It was full on last night because it's really hard to pass around here.
Yeah, that was the dilemma I had too, because we only had a short pit stop with a short fuel dump. It's, do you go the undercut and then sacrifice tyre life at the end of the race with a potential safety car? That's what I was sort of talking with the guys in my team about. In the end, I did a 50-50 split, and Dean did as well. I'm not exactly sure where Tony fitted into the pit strategy, but this track, because it's so sweepy and corners, you sort of want to have as much grip as possible, but with that finessing of the throttle. So I did battle with Kirby there a couple of times coming onto the back straight, which was good. Had a bit of a drag off. And,
it was good. It was so hairy. Like, you had to get out of turn 2 so well, otherwise you just got monstered coming down that back straight.
Yeah. And the draft there was good.
We've also got John sitting in commentary tonight. John, you want to say g'day, mate?
I'm from Wodonga Karts and Parts Racing. We're just a local racing team here on the border at Albury-Wodonga. I'm basically, I wouldn't call myself the team manager, that's my nephew who's not in this series. But I basically organise our paints, and I've got a few boys racing with me. Most of us are in Div 2, but we have Blake Warboys, who's a regular in Div 1. I'm a bit of a rear gunner. You can sort of see me here being chased by Andrew, which was a bit of fun. Didn't qualify very well. I sort of found Mid Ohio to be very difficult to qualify on without all the blue flags, and didn't really want to get in the quick guys' way. But yeah, it was a good start I had starting around the backside of the carousel, and I managed to sort of keep out of trouble for a change.
And the livery looks fantastic, by the way, mate. It's direct to the point. Fantastic. Great. I see my guy Andrew is there, starting to put a bit of pressure on you.
Yeah, this is our first real season with NTS and series, and I've sort of had a few practice races or practice sessions with Andrew, and he's a pretty competitive driver, so I'm really sort of impressed with the standard of driving and the pace of doing this series. Like, I've come from another dev series last season because we're only sort of 6 months old as a team, and I'm sort of finding I'm finding that the professionalism of this series is really, really fantastic.
It is, mate, and that starts from the top down. I mean, like I said earlier, JP, he puts in an unbelievable amount of hours. If you ask him what he got in return, you'd almost cry at his response, because it's nothing. Let's be honest, it's nothing. He does this out of pure passion and heart. And I mean, look at the broadcast that we're here, sitting together commentating on now. I mean, you look at the overlays, And I can tell you firsthand, from working with JP on almost a daily basis behind the scenes to, bring this series to you guys, that no one works harder and no one is more passionate about delivering the content. I think that's the most important thing. Is anyone can bang a series together and knock together a few rules, but real passion, real determination, and surrounding yourself with the right people, it delivers a series such as this. The results speak for themselves. We've gone. You go. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just about to say you're on the money. It's fantastic. Like we run another series on Monday night, and those boys do a reasonably good job, but it doesn't hold a candle to this. And the guys you've got doing race control, particularly with Split 2. Now that I've done 2 races, like they just do such a fantastic job, and the amount of pressure they get put under, and they just keep their cool and keep their calm.
Yeah.
And here they are out in a safety car now.
Especially last night, as we see the safety car come out, it was bombarded, and poor Jake and the crew in race control, I reckon he had about 40 calls to race control in this safety car
Absolutely.
period.
For sure.
So yeah, hats off to him for the pressure he was put under.
How good
That's
does
right,
that safety car look?
It looks good. I was just going to say that Corvette's not too bad either, JP.
I think I know the bloke that did it.
Who did that? Who was that?
Yeah, I wonder.
Oh, who
Just the shameless
us, Tim.
plug there, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
was it? JP from JP Sim Shed by any chance?
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
think it was.
I said,
Just
was
out
it JP from JP Sim Shed by any chance that did this fantastic Corvette livery for us?
Maybe. That was your fault, that.
Mm-hmm.
Say, are we going to be running the Corvette as the safety car? And I had no
We have
intentions of doing that, and I knocked that one up in about 2 hours.
Yeah,
Well, you have to mix it up each season. There's got to be something new every season.
Absolutely.
You do.
Small arbitrage.
I do want to touch on that race control side of things real quickly. So, a good friend of mine, Daniel Coughlin, on behalf of Coughlin Race Engineering, he puts together the setups for these supercars week in, week out. So we run a fixed setup series. So basically, you can adjust your brake bias, but that is it. Roll bars, springs, you name it, they're completely fixed. We certainly don't set up the quickest car or the most pointy car for you. We definitely look to deliver the most stable car across the fuel load. But yeah, again, thanks to Daniel Coughlin for those setups on a week in, week out basis. But getting back to what we're talking about there, those race controllers headed up by Craig and Jake there across Split 1 and Split 2. They then have another 3 or 4 bodies working underneath them across race control, and then a safety car driver. I mean, it is an absolutely thankless job. A thankless job. As Tim said there a minute ago, I mean, there was a good bunch of us there who had encountered some incidents, probably not enough to bring up or take your concentration away from the race at that point in time. But as soon as that safety car comes out, boy, oh boy, that radio, it just lit up. There must be 5-10 drivers, calling in incidents, and Jake is there taking note, absolutely documenting everything from point A to point B. Listen, we cannot thank those guys enough. Without that behind the scenes work, this series it simply wouldn't be what it is now. And keep in mind, not only were they there from the start of qualifying to the end of the race, so that's 2 hours, 2.5 hours on a given day. They're also there then, for another 3 hours after the race, taking care of, protests, post-race penalties, documentation, like you name it. Just
that's it. I think the incident, the penalty sheet came out at like midnight last night, and that was fantastic to get it so quick. And I was like, wow, these guys are on it.
Out of curiosity, guys, did anyone pit under this safety car?
No one from Split 2 did. No.
I was actually waiting, but I don't think we had enough. I don't think we ran enough fuel out yet.
We didn't know. We
Just
were sure
look at the fuel.
Yeah, you wouldn't have got. You wouldn't have got your full load, but I can tell you I was clutching everywhere, and I think I saved about 2.8 litres just in the safety car period. But as you can see, sitting in 5th there, Tony behind me, who is an absolute veteran driver. He's a pretty good steerer, so I know I had him. Yeah, I know I had him breathing down my neck, and you know, he's always a tough driver, and I think he actually gets me, not this lap, but the next. But
I'll be behind you there too.
yeah,
And the thing with Tony is, you know, he's a really nice guy. Just don't try and pass him on a race.
Yeah, I've been in front of Tony before, and trying to keep him behind you is a full-time job.
Yeah.
yeah. You know Tony's car too, because the guy loves pink. The guy loves pink, so if he could have a fully fluoro pink car, he would.
But seriously, a full credit to whoever did up those autoserve liveries, mate. They are absolutely best of track. As far
Yeah,
as I'm concerned. They are next level.
Matt from Dirt Division hooked us up there. Really good guy. Worked really hard on the first livery that we did. It was just not what we wanted. Didn't see it sort of working to what the idea was, and our sponsors, AutoServe New Zealand, come on board late, the 11th hour. So just a shout out to Brody for hooking us up there. They've been amazing.
Brody Scott?
Yeah, Brody Scott is GM of that company, so he's done a fantastic job on sponsorship there, which, you know, he's a mad Red Bull guy, and it's based off Van Gisbergen's camo livery that never actually saw a race.
I knew it. I called that. A week ago.
Yeah, I'm like, oh gee, I'd love a bit more chrome in there. So I've gone the chrome mirrors and the chrome wing, but yeah, it's definitely wins.
They look good.
Too much chrome.
Nah, that's it. Wins are also there, which is really good to get a really decent sponsor on the side that we're proud of. We got simsnap.com as well. So those guys have helped us out immensely with some photos and
Bailey Bell still taking shots there.
Yeah, and Bell Photography is there as well. So yeah.
Is he part of SimSnap though? Is that one and the same or?
Yeah, he is. That's just another division. I think he's got a couple of guys on that on SimSnap.
Cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are a new driver coming into the supercars or any other division around the oceanic sim racing and iRacing, definitely hit up the PSR boys. They run an unbelievable outfit. They've got some crazy talent there. As you can see, they've got an extremely good looking bloody car behind them as well. It's it's a real credit to Tim and the outfit he's put together there. It's fantastic. Speaking of livery, we just switched off it, but
let's go back to it.
Yeah.
Speaking of livery,
I was going to say, chuck it. Don't spend too much time on my mate Tim Mulford, because I want to focus on that with probably about 5 laps to go. So we'll come back. But mate, that Goodyear livery, JP, it's looking good. It's real good.
Yeah, it's an awesome looking livery, and we're really proud to have Goodyear with us. Oh, that's not so good, but
what happened there, boys?
He turned him back around. That's they might knock you out, but they'll bring you back into the race.
Look, that's actually a credit to Tony when you think about it. I mean, he could have kept the boot in and turned him around, and he knew better. He let straight off as soon as he was in the back of him.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Tony's old school.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Tom got a penalty for unsafe rejoin because of that, which is currently under protest. So we'll see where that ends up.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, we're really proud to have Goodyear with us for the second year. These guys have been absolutely fantastic to us. We've actually got Aaron from Goodyear Auto Care Warana racing with us now, which is fantastic. Shout out to Aaron. He's back at work now after not being very well for a while and convalescing, so hope he's enjoying being back to work. I know he is, because he's one of those guys that likes to be active all the time. We had our car was painted from Juan from iLiveries. This guy is an absolute magician with sim painting. The only downside with Juan is if you want a paint done, you've got to be prepared to wait a couple of months.
Yeah. Well, after this sort of plug, it might be a little longer, JP.
Well, he doesn't even do me any favours. I want new paints done, and he's going, yep, okay, I can do them in November for you. But look, he's the sort of guy that I'll wait for, because he always He always blows my mind. Matter of fact, while we're talking about it, I'll see if I can find another one of the paints that he's done. I'm pretty sure. Here we go. I'm pretty sure. No, he's out now. So let's see if we can find. Well, you guys will know the Dragon RC cars. He painted those ones for us.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You've come a long way up the grid there, Anton, after you start.
Yeah, mate. Listen, I actually
There you go.
it's one of the beauties about not being able to qualify well is you seem to have a fair bit of pace over the blokes around you. So yeah, I had some fun tonight or last night, sorry, but I'm really working on getting that one lap speed under my belt.
Sorry, Aaron, we've just had Simon Pitt ask if we stream on YouTube at all. Yeah, we do, Simon. If you look for Sim Shed Broadcasting on YouTube, you'll find us there.
Shout out to Richard Barella there in our car, under copping a lot of pressure. Richard's only been driving for 5 weeks.
Yeah, this is
in
probably one of my favourite views. Let's actually go to Matt Dunphy. Look at the eyes on this thing.
Yeah.
So,
Tell you what,
I've
good on
seen
the
this
brakes.
last week. It's unreal.
I every time I see that, I thought I get a little bit of a shudder because that's just a scary looking thing.
It's getting closer too.
It reminds me of the dragon in How to Train Your Dragon, actually.
That theme about it, I enjoyed watching.
See, there we go.
You
There,
focused
that's
on this
two
last
wheels.
week.
Two wheels on the inside of that hot dog curb at turn 1, and that can really hurt you. As you can see that Matt's done there. He's lost a bunch of spots.
Yeah.
So out to the right as well. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he actually come into the left, so he's obviously backed out of that a bit by the looks of it.
yeah.
Anton,
Probably slow down with it as well.
Anton had a pretty good race there, mate, because you finished in front of me, and I was hunting you down. I'm not going to lie. I said I got to get up there, and Darren was in front of me. Actually, I had a good battle with Darren a couple of times after the pits and just before my pit stop too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, to be honest with you, Tim, whenever I see you around, I figure that you're off the pace because you should be in split 1, obviously. But
That's many
listen,
moons ago.
many moons ago, I just can't put qualifying together. You know what I mean? Like I qualified a 1.2 off my best, or not my optimal, even just my best. So I get sort of chucked in the mid-pack split 2, and if I keep my nose clean, well, I wind up where I should be, sort of well and truly in the top 10. But I'm really hoping to sort of get that, just that qualifying together. I mean, I'm not ready for split.
It's hard. I'm not. I've been sim racing, for probably 5-6 years, and I still can't qualify. I'm more of a racer than a qualifier. Patient hasn't been my strong suit this year, this season I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, qualifying is definitely what I need to work on.
So
Yeah,
guys,
I struggled for qualifying last night.
To be really fair, qualifying on Mid Ohio was almost impossible because you could never get more than 2 or 3 seconds to someone out behind or in front of you.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually found I had a lot of space in qualifying last night, but I just couldn't put it together myself. It was all me. I didn't have anybody in front, didn't have anybody behind. I sort of picked my gaps to go out. But like Anton was saying, I was probably about 1.2, maybe 1.3 off my best on this setup. I hadn't run any other setup but this coming into this week. And, and I'm thinking, all right, cool, no worries. I'm about P19 on my server. I'm like, maybe I might get top split. But started from P8 last night, so it was and currently up here in P3 where the pit stops are starting. So
I was the same. I had the guys saying you're on the cusp, and then there were 3 top finishes from Split 2 last week. Got the auto promo, and I thought, that's just definitely gonna knock me down. So
Yeah. Just while we're talking, Stuart Ward boys here, loving the racing in both cuts. Know a few of the racers from karting. Talent can converse across different disciplines, and it certainly can. What we've seen, especially in sim racing, with the way the cars behave, and with the physics of the vehicles, we're seeing a lot of real world races, making the transition to sim racing because, well, for the last long while there just wasn't any real world racing going on, was there?
No, not
No.
at all.
That's right.
It's a good
I got
training
into
tool
it in
for
May myself, so yeah, sort of through all this shutdown, that's when I started. So
And
Yeah, Stuart,
listen,
he's their #1 ticket holder.
who's your #1 ticket holder? Sorry.
Stuart Warboys.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
That's me
listen,
getting out of the
Warboys, he's super quick there in split one. I'm surprised he hasn't been snatched up by a team yet. I certainly went headhunting.
Mate, when Stewart's on the pace, he's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, he's quick. He's top 5 when he's ready for his day. And listen, I tell you what, now that we bring that up, isn't it fantastic to see the results this year so far sort of, being as mixed as they are, taking, not saying that I don't want to see Sean McNamara up there, dominating as he did the end of last season, but boy, oh boy, great to see Simon Chadwick up there getting a first place. I know that Alex Court, he must be frothing. He must be missing that top step of the podium for sure. You've got Lazinge that's just stepping up a level, mate. That split one is becoming super competitive. I know that I've got Rayner and Jacob really pushing on some heels there. From PSR, you've got Jamie Davis. Jamie Davies, sorry.
and
JP.
Jason as well is snapping it. As you see, I just went off there, but we won't focus on that, JP.
Well, I was just about to go down there and find you, but you're moving down the field too fast, so I'll just let you go.
This was actually pretty not far after my pit stop, and I lost a bunch of spots here, and then had to come back. So, but yeah, Jason is Jamie's younger brother, and he's actually giving it to his brother. So it's got a bit of family rivalry.
I had to have words with Lee the other day, the dad, and say what's up with all these Jay Davises going on. There's too many of them.
They couldn't get past Jay in the outfit.
Yeah, he took it all in stride.
Just going back to what you're saying about those split one boys, you just got to look at the times that those guys are turning out in qualifying and in the practice sessions that we do. Those guys are absolutely flying.
Oh, they are, and lap in, lap out as well. Like for 28 laps, they're just putting it to the limit. That's just something that I'm not capable of at this stage. But it's a wonder to watch. Like, I love it. You learn so much from it. It's great to see the competitiveness and as I touched on earlier, I love the fact that we haven't got one dominant guy that's blowing everyone away. That top 5, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. It really is.
It's very much what we're seeing at Sydney Motorsport Park at the start of the V8s this season, where when they came back from the break, you were having Percat win races, and the Van Gisbergens and the McLaughlins were down the pack. And strategy, obviously, tyre bundles and all that sort of stuff. But this is what we're seeing now in Season 3. So it is good to see. Gives me hope, which is good.
And we're also seeing
a little hope.
A little hope, yeah. But we're seeing the fruits of labour as well. I mean, this has to be the most active series in iRacing. It has to be. It is not. It is not often that you go 3 hours without an NTS practice session being up. Now, obviously, sweet, anyone can jump in at any given time and practice a track, but, these are guys that are creating league-only sessions, getting their team involved, 4 or 5 guys on track. This is why it's coming to this caliber. I mean, Tim, he'll back me up here, mate. You look at the first couple of races in Season 1, well, holy shit. Split 1 and 2 are car parks. You know what I mean? They're dive bombing, just reckless stuff all over the place. JP comes in, he cracks the whip, he holds no prisoners, he tells you how it is, and that's how it needs to be from the front, obviously, from your leader. Yeah. And you look at the caliber of racing we have now; it's outstanding, Tim.
Yeah, the guys that have obviously started from Season 1 and progress through. And then the new guys that have come through have just adapted to that culture where as real life as we can, and that's what we're seeing. You know, we had one safety car last night that lasted 2 or 3 laps, 3 max, and then the quality of racing that we saw just before and after for the rest of the race was, A class.
Yeah.
That's the big draw card with the season, I think, is the level of professionalism that, like JP himself has instilled from the top down, as you boys have been saying. Like I watched a few of the broadcasts last season, straight away I wanted in. And as soon as entries open, man, I was in, got the boys, got the team in. And we're missing one at the moment because he's had to move house. So, Max, we miss you. Come back soon. Hopefully he'll be back in the next day or so.
Come on, Max.
Yeah, come on,
Come back
Max.
to us, son.
Build the rig. Put it back together. Priorities.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the setup. How did we all find the setup? I thought it was really good on a higher load of fuel, and when we ran off the fuel, I sort of felt it slip and slide and got a bit
Understeery?
and then very understeery into corners and midsection of corners. But how did you guys find that?
For sure. Well, I'll probably speak up first if that's all right, John. So, I don't receive the setups before anyone else, but a guy that I'm involved. Well, yeah, I would hope that you do, JP.
You post them, don't you, Anton?
I post them, but I only receive them like 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. I guarantee. And listen, I've never made it out of split 2, so if I am, I'm not receiving any sort of benefit or advantage. Let's make that clear. But listen, there's always a lot of conjecture over the setup in terms of pace, and we've held it as no secret from the very get go. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you look at your brake bias. Like, we wind your brake bias up to like 53%. We take it all the way away from the rear wheels into the front, and that's because this is the development series. We aren't looking to create the quickest car possible. We're looking to create the most stable car possible across a field. All right, so Daniel Coughlin, he's a magician. Right now I've got 2 setups for Mid Ohio. I've got the setup that was released for the NTS series, and then I've got the setup that he releases, to me and my team and to customers through Coughlin Race Engineering. And there's about a 2.5 second difference between the setups. Now, as I said, it's never been a lie. We don't make the NTS setups to be the quickest that there is. If we made them to be the quickest that there is, well, there would be a massive drop off in grip and rear composure as the fuel runs off. And that's not what we're aiming for. In terms of our fixed setups, we're looking for the most stable setup possible across a full fuel stint, as well as the tire deg. So you'll see a lot of the percentage wound back off the rear wheels, back towards the rear. Sorry, off the front wheels, back towards the rear. Depending on your fuel loads and whatnot. But again, in terms of the setup, we're looking for the most cut in possible in terms of drive into a line without sacrificing that rear traction. So a lot of people say that our setups have understeer. Absolutely, of course they've got understeer. That's because we're aiming our setups towards stability in the rear. And I think that's really important in a development series. Obviously, we've got guys in the top 10 of Split 1 who, well, let's face it, they're absolutely, approaching, the next level of competition in the V8 supercars. But right across 86 cars, the mindset that we have is let's develop a setup that, keeps the car stable, keeps the car straight, and keeps the rear of the car behaving depending on your turn in as much as possible. So, Tim, I fully understand that the setups probably aren't as zippy and as quick as you would like, but we're looking to deliver stability and get everybody to the finish line as much as possible, rather than rear ends running a rear and spinning out on turn.
Yeah. Look, the setups were great. It added that extra challenge, right? It was really grippy and stable once you had a full load, but it was the challenge of then nursing it around this track where
as it ran off, right? Yeah,
you really finessing
exactly
the throttle and picking it up where maybe you might not have before, or you might have to back it off a little bit, which, I mean, I did a fair bit of that in the later half of this race, but
and that's all that's all about the racecraft style of mentality that I've tried to bring into this series. But in the short, I guess the short answer is, if you look at last night's stats, like I put up today, we had 83 cars in 2 splits, and only 1 car in each split didn't finish the race. Was classed as a did not finisher. I class cars as a DNF if they haven't completed 75% of the race. So the guy that was classed as a DNF in split 2 was actually 10 laps down, so he did still race.
Yep.
So
And he
There was a
actually had a
blown
technical
motor.
error. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the blown motor one, was it?
Yeah, for the safety car.
Hey, Alex.
It would have been the DNF.
Yep.
G'day, Alex.
Look, yeah. Look, like Anton said, I gave Daniel the brief to make these cars understeery, because it is easier for somebody who's learning this car to catch the understeer than it is to catch oversteer. And my philosophy has always been, it's not about the setups, it's about the drivers adapting to whatever they've been given. The setups, having said that, I don't find anything wrong with the setups myself. And massive hats off to Daniel from Coglan Engineering for the dedication that he's shown in the last series and in this series by coming up with these setups every week.
And
Great too.
yeah, and listen, he really does it, wholeheartedly. He's looking for nothing in return. I mean, I'll tell you now, I work very closely with the Colgan Race Engineering group, and you know what I mean. They're not looking to expand into massive numbers. They've got their own ongoing customer base on a week to week. But mate, he just loves playing with cars. He loves playing with cars, and like I said, he developed a setup for Mid Ohio, to follow what JP sort of instructed in terms of a balanced car across an entire fuel load, like we always talk about. But then he has, the ability to turn on a real race setup. So again, as I said, I've got 2 setups for Daniel. I've got one for the NTS setup, and I've got one for, outside of NTS when we're going to play with an official or anything outside of that sort of series. And it's easily, and this is from my perspective, and I'm not a quick driver, it's a second and a half quicker, like right off the bat. So, I know...
Sorry, mate. Go on.
You go, mate. I was just going to say, like, there's always some conjecture here and there from the newer members in this series, like, how come you guys are so far off the pace, or how come you're a second down, or how come the setup isn't as quick as what I can get from VRS and all the rest of it? Well, it's because that's how we make it to be. It's planned that way. Again, if you're chasing competitive setups, take to an open series, an official series, absolutely hit up Coglan Race Engineering. He'll sit down with you. He will take your telemetry data over multiple stints, and he will develop a setup to your needs and wants. But as far as the setups go for this fixed series, we're looking to deliver a stable car, a pleasant and a calm car.
On the brakes,
That's
hard.
that's not bad, eh? You like
Making himself known.
You should stick with this, JP.
You do realise if you put a dent in one of my cars, that's a carton of beer for me.
Well, mate, he put the dent in.
Look at that!
Robin's racing.
A little bit of hip and shoulder there.
I pull out there because I like you, JP. That's all.
So, guys, actually, we're coming down to the end of the racing here. So, let's start with yourself, John. Highlights and lowlights of the race last night.
Turned by somebody, it's probably my low light, so I'll shout out to Jake Speary because it was a gentleman's decision to play on. And highlight was probably finishing, because I believe we got engine last time, and just not finishing last and sticking at it and working hard.
Nice.
And looking forward to next week.
Yep. What about yourself, David? Highlights, lowlights, mate?
Highlight would be the pressure that I was putting on Sam for the last 8-9 laps, and the low light would have been just not being aggressive enough to make the move. But I pitted, I think, at the end of lap 18. He pitted, I think he was telling me last night, around lap 14. So I had the fresh rubber. But as you can see, towards the end here, I was hammering him, and Pete was coming back at us as well. But the highlight was just the absolute pure racing all night last night. It was fantastic, and bring on next week.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about yourself, Tim?
Oh, look, definitely low light was getting a drive through on lap 26, sitting in about 10th. So that was obviously not the best, but highlight was obviously just the caliber of racers that we are actually racing against. So yeah, I had some good battles, especially with Kirby at the start. I actually had some good battles with my own teammates, which is always good fun. So Tony and Dean obviously putting pressure on me throughout the night, which was cool. But yeah.
Nice, yeah. What about yourself, Anton? Highlights, lowlights, mate?
Oh, mate, listen, I've got to be honest. The whole race to me was a highlight.
I think that's your best finish yet, isn't it?
It's definitely my best finish yet, for sure. I certainly had, better finishes on the table that I threw away, trying to make a move that wasn't on. And listen, I got to be honest with you, the biggest challenge that I face on a week-to-week basis is my nerves. I get really nervous as a driver. I can't put qualifying together. But this week was the first time where I felt like I had the pace to beat your boy, Tim Mulford, in front of me here. And I don't know if we're going to be able to watch these 2 laps fall down, but I knew I had the rubber. I knew I had the pace. And in most of the races, mate, I would have thrown it away right at this point. So 2 laps to go. I go for a move here. It's not on. I pull out of it. I know I've got him, though. I know his rubber's done, and I'm just buying my time. So right now I want to put the pressure on. I want him to brake as late as possible. He's already given me a couple of gentle rubs throughout the race, so I've got no problems putting my front bar through his rear, as long as I keep him straight.
Don't tell me he lost that.
Nah, he's all right. He's all right, because he
I'll
knows
just go
at
back
this point...
I'll go back
I'm
to my
headhunting.
guys, and I'll go back to my guys tonight and say, Anton Gilbert, there's a big target on his back now.
It is. But I'm a real fan of showing my car in the mirrors. Like you see
Yeah, I
me
was just
sort
about to
of
say that. You're actually up in his mirrors. You had a bit of tail happy there, but
Yeah.
everywhere.
Well, you've
everywhere.
got
Like I know I've got the rubber.
Yeah,
you know?
you've got to try and intimidate them and get them to make a mistake. The guy in front, it's up to him to stay in front. You've got to try and get
you
past
ready?
him.
Because here
Oh.
it comes, JP. Here it comes.
The same for me on Sam too. Like the whole last lap, I was saying
Now,
to Craig on our
Hang on.
chat, "Come on, bin it."
Sorry, I was going to say, I spent the whole last 2 laps setting this one up. He thinks I'm going to pull out of this. I'm not pulling out. This time I'm coming. And if you want to rub, we'll rub. Here it comes.
and
Now,
Timmy actually doesn't
But
mind
Sam,
that.
there it is.
He doesn't mind it, but I've got the line here and I'm going for it. And we'll face it. But now I know I've got the undercut at the hairpin and I've got the grip as I run wide. And even if he gets the better line through the hairpin, I know I'll get the run through the straight because I'm going to get power down first. So right now, I know that I've got him, and I'm actually already focusing on the car ahead, who I know has got engine problems. So I'll actually throw it right a little here.
Yep. So Tim's
Oh,
big
yeah,
mistake
right on that
there
rear.
is
Yeah,
he just
and
didn't
I'll-
cover.
He did. He did. If
Not enough.
unfortunately can't. Mate, he covered. I've got to say, he covered as much as he could have legally. If he covered any more there, he would have put me in the grass, and it would have.
It's a little
He
bit
gives
of
me a
love.
nudge. He gives me a nudge. I give him a little finger out the rear window. I one hand steer this around while flipping the bird, and then I
Okay.
flick around the left ear. Whoa! What's going on?
Sammy K's got it done, but yeah, no, that was a sweet
I-
move.
I got one more position to make here, JP. I want this 5th. Right now I'm in 6th. I see engine troubles.
I want this.
I'm a hard shift in the left, and I dummy to the right, and I file the left here. Sorry, dude. Obviously, he's got no engine at this stage. It's an open run, but
Yep.
that's all she wrote, and that's 5th place. So I'll take that happily.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I got to say, credit to Tim Mulford. We actually raced, bumper to bumper for probably 6-7 laps through that entire race. I gave him a nudge. He gave me a nudge. Whenever he gave me a nudge, he came off the throttle and gave it back. If I gave him a nudge, same thing. It was the most respectful and beautiful racing that I've been a part of so
Yeah,
far.
that's-
in
that's
iRacing. So
fantastic.
thank you, guys.
So yeah, great to see you finishing 5th. That's definitely your best finish yet. Sammy K, David, and Peter Crossingham have earned themselves a wild card into Split 1 next week. So
Good
you
stuff,
could
boys.
You can have a go at qualifying to see if you can improve your position, or you can just hang back and start from the back of the field in split one. Definitely make sure you do at least one timed lap, so I know where you are and I can slot you into the split. We've had people who have gotten wild cards in the past who haven't actually gone and completed a lap, and then they've wondered why they can't actually find their way into the split. But
qualifying, I want to get as far forward as I can.
Yeah, good work, mate. No, well done, fellas. Really good racing across both splits, and great to have you in the drivers' lounge tonight. So we'll go through the drivers once again tonight. Anton Gilbert from Ever1 Motorsport, thanks very much, mate. David Kirby, John Van Ree, and Tim Crowley.
Thanks, JP.
Yeah, thanks, JP. Thanks for having us.
Just a quick shout out to Harper and London, my two little girls that are watching in the other room. So hi, girls.
Oh, that's a plug and well worth it.
Awesome. Actually, while we're here, guys, we do have a little bit of time. So if anyone wants to send out any shout outs, please.
I tell you what, I'm going to take the floor right now, and I'm going to throw a massive shout out to JP. Week in, week out, this guy is literally dedicating 30, 40, 50 hours of his time to make this series happen. He receives nothing for his efforts. Almost no accolades come his way. In fact, all he receives is hate and anger and abuse from people that aren't happy with the way the things are running. But
usually it's brain damage from you, isn't it?
Well, listen, I try and avoid that as best as possible. But listen, props need to go where props are deserved. And, this man just works tirelessly day in, day out, to deliver this series. A massive, portion of these drivers, the amateur drivers, hitting iRacing, for the first time in a couple of months and whatnot. We've got some veterans as well, but, the professionalism of this league all the way through to the race control and the back-end systems is just unbelievable. So, we only take a certain amount of entrants on a seasonally basis, but, I really encourage if you can get on board with this NTS series in one way or another, please, hit up myself, JP, and the other guys that you see involved here tonight and find out how you can be a part of this, because this is truly something special to be a part of. And he does it all on his own, JP. He does it all on his own. He's got support staff, but this is his brainchild, and we cannot thank you enough, JP. Honestly, we cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, I'll take that, JP.
Well, you deliver you deliver racing like that every week, guys, and that's the sort of that's the only thank I need, really. David, any shout outs, any more shout outs that you want to give apart from your little girls, mate?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, just touch on what Anton was saying. JP yourself putting this all together, and a big shout out to obviously our sponsors, Frigichill, Jace Industries, Flight Store, Hybrid Racing Solutions, That House Design, and Jinx Shifters. And of course, Race Control. Jake last night, especially in Split 2, and I know Craig would have had a busy one up in Split 1 as well, but Jake, you and the boys absolutely nailed it last night. The radio calls were coming in thick and fast. I know in the safety car I muted them all because I couldn't handle it. But mate, I tip your hat, and to get the penalty sheet out so quickly after the race like you did, kudos. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of all drivers in the series, and a hip hip hooray to the all of Race Control.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. John, what about yourself? Some shout out, mates?
Shout out to Wodonga Carts and Parts, Kinetic Industries, Silkaline WKO, and Barella Cabinets. And a shout out to the Barella boys who raced in Split 2 with me last night, and they're coming along well and doing well.
Awesome. Tim?
Yeah, obviously yourself, JP. Thank you very much for the time and effort you're putting into this series. It's been fantastic. But just another plug for the sponsors, AutoServe New Zealand and Wins that jumped on board. You've really helped us out. Thank you very much for that, Brody. And my boys for putting in so much effort. It's just a great team to be a part of, and I look forward to what the future holds.
Yeah, fantastic. And And while we're giving shout outs, I'll give a shout out to myself as well. No, I'm only kidding. No,
Go
Don't
on.
forget Craig.
Go on.
Give Craig a shout out.
I've actually got to give a shout out to all the guys behind the scenes who do all the grunt work. You know, race control. guys like Simon, who's the driver liaison coordinator, who sort of comes to me every Wednesday and gives me enough brain damage and nightmare and asks me no end of questions so he can go back to the drivers and let them know what's going on. And keeps me in line. Also, look, we have to give a massive shout out to Nationwide Tracking Systems, because without them, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have this series. Without those guys showing their faith in us, this wouldn't be happening. Goodyear Auto Care Warana as well. They're one of our pivotal sponsors, a naming right sponsor along with Nationwide Tracking Systems. Custom Track Art. James does the most amazing track art, and as well is helping with the trophies for this series or this season. So we've got a few trophies going on. Track Racer, if you don't know who Track Racer are, they make awesome 80/20 and steel tube racing chassis. Abruzzi Raceware, which I'm involved with as well. Coglit Engineering, once again, without Daniel's setups every week, this wouldn't be happening. Melbourne Hydrographics Depot, Race Management Systems, and of course Track Cams for Gourmet. So yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Excellent. And
TJM Parramatta last night for the race.
Yeah, absolutely. TJM Parramatta, because it was their naming right sponsor race, and yeah, thanks very much for that, guys.
Thank you. And listen, we welcome anyone that's watching this broadcast. You may have watched the Split One broadcast last night. If you can't make this series, but you're passionate about racing, and this is potentially something you want to be involved with, in the months, weeks, years to come, please, send us a message now. We're always looking for volunteers for race control. It's a massive job, crazy job, and numbers make life easy. So if this is a series that you truly believe that you belong to and you can make a dent in, hit us up now.
Yep.
This season might be out of question, but we've always got roles to fill.
Yep, 100%, guys. Just to give people an idea, when we made the series public for season 3, we filled up our allocated spaces in 3 days. So we've always got people coming back from the previous seasons, but we ended up by taking on 100 people and in 3 days. So that's pretty good numbers. So if you do want to race in this series, definitely get in quick, and if we can find a spot for you, we'll definitely fit you in.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, so I think that's about it. The race is well and truly over and out. I reckon the guy waving that checkered flag, his arm's about to drop off.
Yeah,
Barney.
he's done.
Yeah, he's
How good's Barney?
He seems pretty tired right about now, but yeah, once again, thanks very much, guys, for joining us tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching the Split 2 Drivers Lounge. And we'll be bringing you certainly more action next week in the Nationwide Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Championship Series. But tomorrow night we'll be racing with the Abruzzi Anscar Cup Series. So the stock cars, they're in the middle of their chase season. So not quite sure where we're racing, but we'll be racing from 8 o'clock and we'll be bringing you all the action. So until then, good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.